Howdy everybody, it's your pal Misty. Sit back, relax, and enjoy another movie review. For this movie review, I went and saw the new movie Joker. And before I went to see the movie, and when I walked into the movie theater, even my theater had a sign. And that sign basically said, this movie is not for children. This movie is violent and has sexual content. And I believe it said nudity, which I think I must have missed. I didn't really notice it. So there were all these warnings about this movie. And so I was like, ooh, maybe it's really deep and dark and, all those things that little warning said it was, and nobody under 17 without an adult, which is, isn't that how R-rated is supposed to be anyway? I don't understand. They're making everybody show their ID. I mean, it's a movie about the Joker. Do y'all know who the Joker is? Everybody who went to see the movie, do you know who he is? He's a deep, dark, demented soul who has a mental illness. He's crazy. That's the whole premise of the Joker. He's crazy. This was his origin story. Guess what, everybody? He's still crazy. I'm not real sure why we had to put out all those warnings. Deadpool was way more violent. Way more sexual. It was just way more everything. This movie was kind of tame. I mean, it was about a guy who was mentally ill, who became more mentally ill, went off his meds, and then went cray-cray. That's the whole story of the Joker. Didn't we already know that? I felt like we already knew that. I felt like it's a trick. Like, what am I missing? What did I miss? I sat through the whole movie. It was like 2 hours. I was there. So, did I say there will be spoilers? There will be spoilers. It's a guy and he goes crazy and turns into the Joker. I really don't know what the big deal was. Now, okay, so I will say, and I think maybe this is where it came from. I'm sorry. I'm trying my best not to get sick. I'm failing a little bit more every day. Anyway, so I think what it is within this movie, well, first of all, they said Batman wasn't in this movie, which, I mean, if Bruce Wayne is in the movie, it's a little bit that he's Batman. But the thing is it's Bruce Wayne as a child. It's not Bruce Wayne as Batman. And in the Batman movies, I would say there's that sort of theming that I talk about how it's a dark movie. Like, even though physically you can see it, everything looks dark. Like, even the kitchen that I saw a few months ago was based on a DC comic, and it had that kind of look. The new movie's even coming out. The new, what is it, Birds of Prey with Harley Quinn. The older movies, the Batman, Superman, Suicide Squad, they all had this same kind of look. This movie, for me at least, didn't really have that look. It had more of an authentic, real world look. So I guess maybe that's why people took it so much more internally, was because, one, we do have a problem with mental health in this country, and it's because there's a stigma on it. He even said, well, he didn't say, but he carries this little book where he writes down what he thinks are his jokes and his thoughts. And one of the things that he wrote down basically said, like, the worst part of having a mental illness is that people know that you have it. And then, like, in real big letters, he wrote, but they want you to act like you don't. So I think that overall was really what the movie was kind of saying, was that yes, he has a mental illness. It went unchecked. He got unfunded. He was going somewhere to get medication, and they cut that funding. So he didn't have a therapist to see. He didn't have medication to take. And as he stopped taking his medication, of course, it got out of control, which is what happens in the real world. So from that aspect, I mean, just to be really seriously honest about it, I can understand why people would be affected by that theme of a movie. I don't know. For me, it's a comic book movie. He's a comic book character. So in my brain, he's not real. People know that. Right? I feel like I just keep needing to ask. People know he's not real. He's a comic book character. And how many origins is he gonna have? I mean, there were several scenes. Now, I will say, okay, so Joaquin Phoenix did a great job with the Joker. I liked his version of the Joker. It was a really purely authentic person who grew up in a really horrible situation with a mother who was also crazy and delusional, which, you know, happens to people. And it just so happened that he also was crazy and delusional, you know, in the end. And, I mean, there were some really good scenes, like, the scenes where he dances, just to me, is just classic Joker. Like, he just doesn't give any cares about what anybody else thinks. He just does what makes him happy. And if that's shooting somebody in the face, then that's what made him happy that day. Now, granted, that's morbid and concerning, but he's a comic book character. You know that's what he does. He kills people. That's what they do in comic books. They kill the good guys, or they try to. But Joker really isn't even that much into the killing of the people as his character gets more progressive. He's really known more for the jokester part of it, being smarter than they are. So for me, that was something that I expected to see a little bit more of and didn't in this movie. He wasn't portrayed as a very smart man. He was just portrayed as a very crazy man. So I don't really see where his character of the Joker leads into it. But these are all just my opinions, of course. So most of you that are watching this review probably won't go see the movie. But that's okay. I'm still doing the review. Overall, I thought the movie was okay. It wasn't anything stellar. It was a good movie. I've heard a lot of people say it was a really bad movie. It wasn't a really bad movie. It was probably one of the better DC movies. It just wasn't a classic DC movie. It wasn't like their other movies, because it wasn't so comic book look, feel, sound. It didn't have all that. It didn't have any comic book characters in it, really, other than the Joker. I mean, you met Mr. Wayne and, you know, some of the throwbacks into where it's going to lead to, but nothing in the movie itself. But the scene near the end where he got bloodied and he takes his fingers and he does the smile, that's a good scene. That's a Joker scene. Like, that's his moment. That's when he is just gone crazy, for lack of a better word. He's just maniacal, maybe, because he's a little bit of a maniac, and he's on a high right then in that part of the movie. So I know this is a little bit long just to talk about a movie, but I just felt like it was really hyped up as being something, and then for me it was still just a movie. So I know that those things in real life are horrible, and we have a lot of real things happening to real people in real life, but this is the movies, and that's why I like the movies, because it doesn't have to be about real life. It's just fun to watch, and this movie was fun to watch. I'd watch it again. I don't think it'd be a movie that I would buy, but I'd watch it again if it was playing on, you know, and somebody wanted to watch it. I'd certainly watch it again just to see. There were a lot of really good scenes. Like I said, he did a really good job of watching the progression of him turning into the Joker. I thought it was actually really well done, more realistically than most comic series. So in that I can't think of the word, in that regard, it was a good movie. It just wasn't the best comic book movie, I guess. So people are taking it more seriously than just a comic book movie. So I can respect that. That's just not how I saw it. Saw it as a comic book movie, the origin stories of the Joker, which was a good origin story for him. Again, I wish they would have portrayed him more as smart. He wasn't really smart in the movie that you saw. He lived with his mom. He took care of his mom. His mom was crazy. I mean, he didn't know his mom was crazy. He was crazy, but he was on meds. So, I don't know. There was just some of it for me that didn't exactly fit. But overall, it's a decent movie. If you like the Joker, you may be torn on if you like it or not. I don't really know. Joker's not one of my, favorite characters. Overall, I'm just not a huge DC fan so much as I am Marvel. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like this video if you like this, or if you want to see more movie reviews. Subscribe as well, as I will be doing more movie reviews as it gets into that part of the season before the end of the year and around the holidays where things start to get really good. Lots of movies coming out before the end of the year, and Misty is excited. So until then, or until I want to talk at you again, I'll see y'all real soon.